So I'm trying to paint my hood here, and I figure I'm not even sure if this is going to come out because it's such a large surface area. I used 2 cans of actually first what I did, it had the original black primer on it, was still good from the factory. This is an aftermarket fender, sorry, hood. And I used an etching primer. I probably should have used a different one. After I got looking at the can, it said it was supposed to be for bare metal. Oh, I thought that was a hole. Oh, it is a hole. I thought it was a chip. I probably should have used a different primer. But anyways, it looked like it came out okay. So I put primer on it first, and then I used my, I just got some of that 2-coat Hunter Green. I'll put a link in that. And I used 2 cans of that, which is quite a bit. So it's probably equivalent to about 3 coats of what I'm going to call the base. And I don't think I'm going to clear coat this side. I kind of wanted to because it seems like the clear coat would protect it, but got the engine on this side, so I'm not sure how you're supposed to do the side that faces an engine, if they just base coat it or if they put a clear coat over the inside or not. So I'm just going to probably leave it like this. Anyway, so next I got to flip it over. The other side's really rusty, so I'm going to clean up that. I'll show you what that looks like when I get this flipped over. Alright, so this is what this side looks like. It's got some surface rust on it. Just going to use some super clean, scrub it down, and then wipe it off, and put a primer on it. When I was lifting up my, when I was trying to flip this over, I ripped a hole in the top of my tent thing here, so I got to get some duct tape and clean that up before all the bugs start coming in here. But so that's what I'm going to do, is fix the top of the roof there. That top of the roof, and then start cleaning on this, and we'll see how that goes. So I decided to take it outside so I could hose it off easier than doing it inside the tent there. And I got my roof kind of patched up there a little bit. One thing I kind of wanted to show you was, so this is with that gray scouring pad you pick up at the auto detail shops, and I just did a couple of wipes with super clean. This guy on this side, you can see what a difference it makes as far as cleaning. I'm not going to get all of the rust off, just the majority of it, because the primer I'm going to put on it is meant to go over rust and kind of convert it as it goes along. And there's some, I can feel this stuff. So I'm gonna hit it with a heavy filler primer before I put my base coat on, and hopefully I'll just kind of blend that in. Actually, what I should do is sand that down, but we'll see. I don't want to spend too much time on it, so I think I'll go that route. Hit it with a converting base coat or base primer, a rust one that's meant to go on rust, and then see how that looks, and then I'll probably, like I said, go over it with a heavy filler primer, kind of see what it looks like after that. Okay, so I just went over it with this Duplicolor rust fix. It says turns rust into black primer. I don't know if it really does that or not, but I feel better put this all over, just kind of like spraying a clear coat of this stuff on. It's hard to see because it is so clear, so I just kind of did it just like you'd paint with it, and you can kind of see it there. So I'm just going to let that dry off. I think 1 coat should be enough. But it does look like, here you can see, so there's some rust inside there still. Some, hopefully it'll turn it all black, and then we'll kind of know it's done. But so that's kind of where I'm at. Just sprayed this on. I'm going to let it dry. Kind of pick it up from there. So I tried this, I guess, Duplicolor rust fix, and it was said it was supposed to turn the rust spots black and things like that. First one, it's really bright out here. I don't know if it's going to show up on camera. From a distance, you can kind of see there's still a lot of rust color in there. It didn't turn anything really black. The only place I've seen black is kind of in this area, out of the whole hood. That's not so hot. And I treated this pretty heavily and waited quite a bit of time, and See if this will show up. And there's still rust inside there. It didn't like convert anything. Anyways, in this, you can't probably see this, but this is still kind of surfacey, but I'm still seeing little spots, like right there, of actual, this looks like rust to me. So I'm not too impressed with this product, and I was really hoping it would turn it to a, dark black primable surface, because that's almost, the picture right there looks just about like what I got going on, and it definitely didn't do that. So I wanted to get 400 grit, but they didn't have any at the store, so I picked up some 600 grit. So I'm just gonna knock down any heavy surface rust here, and then especially like that one there is pretty bad looking, so the super rust spots. And I mean, since I got this, I'll spray over it. It seems like it didn't promote rust, so it seemed to kind of seal it a little bit, because this was pretty much bare metal. And if you've ever cleaned up bare metal before, you'll know it rusts rather quickly. So at least it didn't all rust over, so it did seem to stop the corrosion. But anyways, thought I'd just make a update of that. So here's a pretty good shot. See, I got a lot of rust still in there. I'm gonna knock that all off and kind of pick it up after that. Alright, what I've done here is I took my heavy filler primer and I just sprayed a light coat over the whole surface there. I'm just going to let it flash off. I'll wait 15 minutes and then I'll come out and put a heavier coat. What I like to do is go around the edge first and then come back in, and I just swept it front to back all the way across. I'll bring out, when I shoot the next layers, I'll bring the can out, show you which one I'm using there. But the key is to wait. It's tempting just to keep going, but if you did that and you put too many layers and they weren't quite dry, it makes it hard for the bottom layers to dry off. So I think it's important to give it time in between coats. And the first layer is more to allow the other layers to stick good, so the light ones to kind of actually act as a primer for the primer. So I'll come back after this dries off about 15 minutes, and then we'll put some more coats on it. Alright, here's the primer I'm using. So I got pretty thick coat on, and so now what I'm going to do is just wet sand any defects out of it. Like stuff like this will show up in the base coat if I don't get it out of there. And then there's just stuff that fell, dust in there. Anyway, so basically I'm going to wet sand this down, and any defects I see in them, the spots that I sanded on, I'll just hit that with primer again. And then I'll start looking at doing a base coat. Alright, so I wet sanded down with I think it was 2500, and just got that primer all smooth, and then wiped it all down. I just use water in a spray bottle. It leaves less residue behind and seems easier to clean up, and the microfiber towels to clean it off. And then I took my base coat and I go around the edges pretty heavy, all the way around first, and then try to put a light coat on the bottom there, and that's just kind of an adhesion coat. The problem with doing it like this should work good with the clear, but with your spray cans, you really should be holding up like this, and this is just too big of an area. I mean, I could build something to hold it up, but it'd be just really hard. So you're dealing with spraying at an angle, so it makes it hard on the spray cans. And this is what happens when you do that. You get like splatter every once in a while. And so what I'll do that is I'm going to put a few more base coats on. And I'll probably do the same way. I'll go around the edges first, because I like the edges to be kind of thick, so they won't chip as easy. And then I'll put a couple more layers on there. It takes about a can to do this much right here. So after I build up a pretty good layer base coat, then I'll just go back out and wet sand out these little splatter marks and stuff. I'm really lucky. This is pretty early in the morning. It's nice and cool. It's going to get hot later on. But the bugs seem to be less out. so I don't have anything falling in the, usually get a lot more dust and bugs in this, so I'm pretty happy about that. Also, you want to make, I like at a minimum 15 minutes between coats of paint. You know, maybe 30 minutes would be better. That gives it time to evaporate off, because if you keep putting out heavy coats and it like traps the wet paint underneath the other coats, and the top coat's going to dry probably faster because it's exposed to more air, and then you'll have a mushy base coat underneath that's having a hard time curing. So that's why it's important that you wait in between your base coats. At least that's my understanding. It seems to make sense. So there's something else I wanted to mention. I'll come back to me. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I remember what it was I wanted to tell you. So because it's cool in the morning, usually when you have your can 90 degrees to your surface so you get a nice paint lay down. And if you can't, if you're back too far, what will happen is the paint will kind of like hit it in a mist and leave a, like almost a sawdust like film on it. It seems like when it's colder out though, you can get away with doing a more of an angle, and it's like the paint hits and it sticks to the paint better. You could think of it as this, as the paint's coming out, it's evaporating a little bit. So if you did it on a hot day, it's going to evaporate more before it hits the surface and cause more paint to not stick to the material. So I just noticed it seems like it sticks better in the coolness of the morning. It takes probably a little bit more time to evaporate off, but I think it's a good trade-off to get an easier stick on your surface with a rattle can. And also it's a little bit more forgiving on not being able to be at a 90-degree angle like you want to be. Anyways, that was my little tip though. So if it's cool out, you're probably going to have a better time. And there's very little humidity in the air this morning, so it's helping out a lot too. So it's dry and cool, and that seems to work really well. Okay, quick update where I'm at there. Things were going pretty well, and then I somehow managed to bump the hood of the car with the spray can when I was painting. You know, I was just kind of going like this and I accidentally ran it across there. So what I did was I just hit that pretty hard, pretty thick right there to kind of build it up and finish the job that I was doing for that day, putting on that layer. And now what I'll do is places where I had splatter, I did have some here, but it really blended in well. I can't even see it now. But right here what I'll do is I'll get some probably like 2000, try to wet sand that, and then shoot right over just that spot. And then find any other paint defects and just wet sand those spots and kind of like touch up on those spots. And I want to put one more coat on it. And so I had to wait for this to dry. It's kind of nice having the base coat a little bit on there though, because then I don't have to worry about the primer sucking and moisture and causing rust. And one nice thing I did notice is like I was able to hit this pretty heavy, and because it's laying flat, you can put the paint on thicker and it's not going to run on you as much. I suppose you could get it, it levels out, self-levels, and if you had it on its side, your spray can would work better, but you have more problems with running because all the gravity's pulling the paint down. So there is the downside of this is because you're not holding your rattle can straight up and down, you got it at an angle, you get more splatter, but the benefit is you can get more on there. I can see where the more I do this, paint booth is really where it's at. If you had a paint booth, you could achieve with a rattle can as good as a job, I think. Well, maybe not as good, but very good job with a rattle can. If you had a clean environment to work in, nice stable temperature, and you know you had the fans controlling and stuff. I'm thinking the temperature and the clean environment, because you can always learn the technique, but you can't really control your environment when you're doing it at home like this. Anyhow, enough mumbling. Like I said, it's nice, it's hardened up after about a day, and I'll go ahead and wet sand this and touch those spots up and then see but here's something you can see probably. And again, this is all your prep work. I was hoping that the filler would have been a little thicker than it was, but you can see rust. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I can see rust that was originally built up there, And I should have sanded it down more, but it's okay. The paint's gonna look pretty good, but I wish I could get that out. I'd have to sand way down to get that out. Any imperfections in your base metal are gonna show up in your primer, which that's the point where you should have gotten it out. And anything that you can't always see at the primer level, but when you put on the base coat, it amplifies any defects. So it's all about the prep work. Anyways, I'll let you go there. So I'm pretty much done with this. I had a lot of trouble with I call tiger striping. If I was using my own, you know, like a Rust-Oleum paint of your choice that was like a real thick, like something like, see if I got a can around here. Oh shoot, I can't find any. It'd be a product like this where it's say 2 times ultra coverage, so like 100 green or something like that. You could get this probably without any tiger striping, but because I'm doing like a perfect match, this is like the OEM color, and it's even got little specks of metallic in it and stuff, and it is a really good match for the Honda green. It's just too hard because that can doesn't have enough of a fan, and when you spray, you'd have to get a wet coat, and you need to fan over the wet coat and keep doing that, so you're kind of like moving the wet coat down. And with the little spray can, you're only getting like about that much of a fan, and it's just too hard and you can't see. And so when you get done, you'll see tiger striping. It actually came out pretty good. It doesn't look too bad. I put a couple layers of clear on it, but this is too big of a job for a rattle can, although it really did come out pretty good. I don't even see any tiger striping. So the clear seems to... Little trick I do is when I was done with my base coat, I just spray water on there and I take a microfiber towel and use that as a buffing. There is nothing on there, but it does actually kind of buff a little bit. And I think that helped get some of the tiger stripe out because I really don't see it. Another trick you can do is you try to go 90 degrees from what you did. My problem is because it's such a big surface with those spray cans, you'd get tiger striping going the other way. So I did that a couple times, crisscrossed it, and then wiped it out with the microfiber, and it seemed to kind of buff it out a little bit. And then I put a couple layers of clear coat on it. I was really lucky because there's a lot of dirt. I've learned that in the morning is the best time to paint because there's not as much debris. As the sun heats up from the day, all the little seeds and stuff start popping and dust starts floating in the air and just lands on it. If you can get it early in the morning, just before daybreak, you know, you need it light enough to where you can see what you're doing. That seems to be the best. Plus the surface of the material is cool. Now this is, I'm talking in the summer. In the winter you can do something like that. The surface of the material is cool and the paint sticks to it well, gets good coverage. So all I need to do, this kind of looks pretty good, you can see the sun on it. And the color of the roof is changing the color of how this looks. So now I'm just prepping the car to put the hood back, and when I get it back on, I'm going to wipe it down, clean it one more time. I'm debating on whether or not to clear coat the bottom. I didn't do that. I probably should just for protection, but I don't know. Once I get it on the car, I'm just going to put a good coat of wax on it, and just to help protect it. Helps protect the clear coat because it'll be soft for a couple days. Takes time for this rattle can stuff to harden up because it doesn't have a hardener in it. But that's about it. It's pretty much done, just ready to go back on the car. So I get the hood on. It's crazy how quickly stuff gets dirty. I just kind of wiped this down and already stuff's falling on it, and I don't have a wax coat on it yet. Even little like tree sap things, it's probably coming from this tree behind here. You know, I get bugs flying on it and birds trying to hit it and stuff. But so I wanted to kind of get a video of it before it got too dirty, because I just wiped it off and it's already getting dirty again. So I really need to get a coat of wax on it. I'm gonna have to wash it off with something, some kind of, probably just use some car soap, something that's clear coat safe. Wash it off and get it clean again, and then see right there as I'm filming, it looks like ash. That's probably from a fire down south or something. Basically wash it off, get all the little sappy spots off that are already accumulated, and that's just in one day. and then put a nice coat of wax on it to kind of protect it. Anyways, it came out pretty good. It was very hard. I'm shocked that the tiger stripes didn't show up, but luckily they buffed out with just some water and a microfiber tile. And but there's a little bit of orange peeling. I could have got that out, but this is too big of an area to do with a rattle can if you have a precise color. Like this has a little bit of metallic in it, and it's an OEM color, so it's kind of really, the color is a really good match. But it's I think this is something you'd want to do with a paint gun. It's just too much surface area to deal with a little rattle can, unless you had just a stock color and you're able to get a big rattle can that had a little bit of a fan to it. They do sell spray cans like that, but I haven't seen it in an exact OEM color match. Anyways, maybe I'll do one more shot of it after I get it washed and a coat of wax on it, just to see if it looks any different. Alright, so pretty much finished. What I did is I cleaned it up with this. It's getting too hot to wax out, so I'm going to wait till a nice evening comes along and wax that up. I want to put some wax on to protect it. But the hood came out pretty good. It's got a pretty nice shine on it there. It's pretty bright out, so it's hard for me to see. So I did both fenders and the hood, just kind of playing around. It came out nice. I was surprised how well it came out. And I'm thinking about maybe trying to play around with the rest of the car, do it in sections or something. Really want to get a compressor and a spray gun to make it go a little easier, but it is what it is. I'll try to put a link to the products I use in the video description, and so if anybody has any questions, because I'm sure I'm going to miss some of the products, just leave me a comment below and I'll try to find the link to the products. Anyways, hope this video helps somebody out there, and thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day.